Okay, once you log in, you'll want to click on Ads. It should be under Apps. If you don't see it under Apps, you'll want to click the More at the bottom of this column. Click on Ads, and then in the upper right-hand column, there's a green button, Create an Ad. First decision is going to be an external URL, which is essentially any website, anything outside of the Facebook universe. You can also do internal pages. If you do an external URL, you type in your URL, you're going to have 25 character limit for the title. What you cannot do is all caps and back-to-back punctuation. Same with the body. You cannot do things like all caps, back-to-back punctuation. As far as topics overall, pretty much you got to keep it G-rated or at least PG-13. So typically no sex, no guns, no violence, those sort of things. You can choose your image. Your image is going to be shrunk down to 110 pixels by 80. Images that tend to be most effective are those that include the color red and those that include women's faces. If you do an external URL ad, your URL will actually appear in the ad itself. If you'll remember, this happened with ethical oil where you didn't want the URL in there. The reason the URL was appearing is it's an external URL. Pardon me. An internal URL is if you already have a page set up, you can connect an ad to a page. Now, if you're doing an internal URL page, what you'll want to make sure that you consider is a landing page. A lot of people just connect to your wall, which can help increasing the likes. But for example, with this landing page, what we have here pops up for me. Here we actually capture email addresses for the database, and then once they hit submit, they're taken to your wall. They can also like the page, so you can you're doubling your chances of capturing the person's contact information. A couple different types of ads. A Facebook ad if you're linking to an internal page. Very similar to what would show up in an external page. You've got your headline, your copy, and an image. A sponsored story gives peer information. It will show if there are friends of yours that like the page that's promoted in the ad, or you can also do a specific post to promote in the ad. Okay? And once again, a sponsored story, what it will do is it will show you if there's friends that like the page or like the story. All right, let's walk through the external URL. Let's go back to, doesn't work. Okay. Location, pretty self-explanatory. You can advertise within a radius. So if I were to choose Buffalo, New York, I can advertise within a 50-mile radius of Buffalo, New York. It can also be as specific as 10. All right. Demographics, this tends to be where we start segmenting. If you're going to segment, I would suggest that you require an exact age match. You can select by gender. Interest, they changed the way the interests work here, and I prefer to use precise interest targeting. It's right here. I'll show you why I prefer to use precise interest. Let's say we wanted to target Romney supporters. Okay. I'd have to go to Interests and Politics, U.S. Conservative. It's pretty much as I could drill down there. Now, if I go to Precise Interest Targeting, what I can do is type in Mitt Romney, and I can actually target people specifically that like Mitt Romney. Also, what you can do is, what happens is potential other pages where your audiences might exist, other audiences you might want to target. What you'll see is you'll get an estimated reach, essentially the amount of people that your ads will reach as you continue to drill down. Right now we're looking at people within 50 miles of Buffalo that are between 18 and 26 and fans of Mitt Romney. So there aren't a whole heck of a lot of those. Even if we back this up to everywhere, what you'll see is now you've got 165,000 people. Once again, all that I did there was I backed up, I changed the location. Okay, rather than Buffalo in a specific radius, I selected everyone. I'll show you an example of this again. Change the age group, make the age group broader, and you're going to get more people as well. Connections on Facebook. This is if you want to continue to drill down. Connections are people that like pages you're involved with. I almost never use this. Advanced, and once again, it's got to be a page that you're involved with here. The difference between a connection and the interest. I can target anybody that likes Mitt Romney, and I don't need to be associated with Mitt Romney. What I would do here is people that like Mitt Romney and also like, for example, Underdogma. Doesn't really benefit me too much to target these people, since I can already talk to people on the Underdogma page and just put out a post, and that doesn't cost me anything. Advanced demographics, education. I think obviously you understand these. You'll want to create a campaign. Name the campaign. You can set your budget. You can do it by day. Typically, I tend to set by day rather than a lifetime budget. Difference between per day and lifetime is you can determine when you want your ads to run. Okay, so you can determine the dates. You can determine what time they start and what time they end. But you cannot determine anything more specific than that. You can't say run my ads from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. You can't get that specific. Per day, $25 would be the most that I'd spend per day on this specific campaign. And that way I know that I can stay within my budget. Obviously, if you knew you're going to spend $500 on your campaign, you could do that. But then what that would require you to do is continually check back in to make sure that you aren't going over that budget almost immediately. CPM versus CPC, I'm pretty sure that you know all this stuff, but CPM is actually just impressions. You're paying just for your ad to run. Pay-per-click, you're paying for when people actually click on your ad. I almost always choose pay-per-clicks. The reason for that is if you're just worried about your ad running, I'm not really quite sure what you'll be accomplishing. You want your ad to run and for it to be clicked on. The detriment for the pay-per-click is either people are clicking too much on your ad, which I don't think there really is such a thing. I think if you just had a really small budget and you weren't really serious about what you're doing, you might do impressions just to say you're running ad. So too many people might be clicking on it, or nobody might be clicking on it. But the less people click on it, then the less it's going to run. But the thing is, if nobody's clicking on it, then it's a bad ad, so you don't care if it runs or not. Setting your bid, Facebook will provide you a ballpark. The more you pay per bid, the better chance you have of your ad running and it being prominently positioned. The more you go on the lower end, the less your ad will run, less will be prominently positioned. You can even put in a bid that's below the minimum bid there. You can place your order or review your ad. Once again, what you'll see here is that you cannot have 2 punctuation mark signs in a row. So once again, if you do anything wrong within the ad, Facebook won't even allow you to submit it. Usually it takes anywhere between 4 hours and 24 hours for an ad to be submitted. Or approved, I'm sorry, and start running by Facebook. Once the ads run, then what you can do is you can evaluate them. Here's an example. What they've started doing is campaign reach, which means 65,000 people are seeing this ad campaign. On average, the 65,000 people have seen it 11 times. You also get your clicks and your click-through rate and spent. The average click-through rate for Facebook's between 0.2 and 0.3. So that's a quick synopsis of advertising on Facebook.